Alrighty, let's get going. So, because this is like the second time I do this because I was interpreting and then I thought of something. So we'll see how I do with the interpretation, right? And then by the time I looked it up, and then there was more evolving and stuff like that. So anyway, so this dream is about two lovers. Okay, they're no longer together, is what the lady told me. And so the dream is this. So she goes to her sister's house, okay? Because her sister is having an event, all right? And it seems like her sister's well-to-do. Not that that matters, but whatever. So then as she gets there, as she's there, she realizes that her ex-lover is there. The ex-lover knows that he's gonna bump into her because it's her sister. So he knows that. But he was invited somehow. So the woman lover gets shocked because the man lover is there and she didn't know she was there. He was going to be there. So apparently he got invited. So there's a connection between some sort of relative or something that they both know that that this sort of happened or whatever, okay, or in the dream. And in the dream, she says that she's feeding, because there was like a bunch of children, okay, so that she's feeding her the lover's daughter, okay, who was like same deal as yesterday, sort of like 7 or 9, okay, so she's not full blown grown, okay, even though in real life the lady told me she was, okay. So so she's feeding her and she's giving her food, and it's sort of like an olive oil type garlicky thing. I forgot to check out olive oil, give me a minute. And then and or pancakes. Okay, so I don't know which one it is. Hold on. Or I think it's both. Okay. So so she's eating garlic, so so they're like sort of scraping it with the bread. Okay, very interesting. And then also like pancakes, okay? And then, but the lover, right, the woman who is in this event helping her sister apparently like take care of kids, and then she's feeding her lover's, daughter, is sort of like in a like a robe that she just sort of got out of bed from, okay, sort of like transparent and sort of lacy and transparent, and she was like in lingerie, like in underwear, okay, but very very pretty. Lingerie, okay, like lacy, all of it lacy. So her panties and her bra were lacy, and so was her robe. And so as she's feeding her, and so her lover, the male lover, is sort of like at a corner distance and just watching, okay? Very interesting. And so then as his daughter's finishing up, he comes towards her, okay, and sort of gets next to her and lustfully, with so much lust, is what the lady was telling me that she saw him. He was so lusting for her that he sort of like opened her robe, okay? And the daughter, in shock, sort of looked at him like couldn't believe it, but he couldn't contain himself, okay? And so then after that, the next scene is that there's 2 bottles that are like crystal bottles of very expensive liquor, sort of like the ones like when you pour the liquor in, right? Sort of like that, but it was sort of not, because they were like specific liquor bottles that were very ornate and very beautiful. And there was one that was taller than the other, and the one that was a little bit shorter, but more or less the same size, was very elaborate, okay? They were both very beautiful crystal, but elaborate, and they were empty, okay? And they were in the fireplace mantle, and she says that was it, okay? So very interesting. All right, so there's some distance between them, but he's watching over her, okay? And from afar, he's lusting over her, so he still loves her or wants to have intercourse or intimacy with her, okay? When she's in her robe, that's sort of some protection, but it's also very sensual. So she's sending out a sensual vibe, and she's in her lingerie as well, okay? So just very sensual and very sexy, okay? So that's the vibe that she's giving out, and the ex-lover is very much lusting over her. And so the food means that she's sort of nurturing. The daughter of this gentleman can either be a project that she's nurtured, right? And so garlic and olive oil, and I think she told me something like something green, like maybe like leafy, like it was like like a spinach. Okay, so olive oil, and olive oil is like abundance, right? And it's like richness and wealth and stuff like that, because that's what it used to be before. Let me see if I got this right. Prosperity, wealth, abundance, okay, and herbs. And garlic is like a sort of a protection, okay? So possibly, possibly there's protection for the project or the daughter, right? But she told me that he does have a daughter, but the daughter is older, okay? But maybe a little bit immature, as I mentioned, okay? This can also, okay, so it was weird that all the similarities in the dreams. Anyway, so what happened was that so she's nurturing them, right? And she's giving them food, and it's bread. So it's something, that's very good, right? That very prosperous. Bread is, the body of Christ, right? So it's also nourishment, spiritual nourishment that she's providing for either the project or for him at afar, and representative of the daughter, or that she something like that. The daughter's interesting, okay, that she sort of shows up, because she's never met the daughter. So then the daughter, as he approaches, and he's lusting over her, is just that. He's lusting over her, and he's still thinking about her, okay, even though he's watching from afar. And she says that he was kind of darkened in the corner. So he's watching her, probably at night, whatever social media she has or whatever, if they're, if they don't have events, or in events that maybe they get to see each other in those events that they have. They have either relatives that they know or friends that they both know, okay? So, but the interesting part is that she said, I don't know if I mentioned this or not, that she said that the daughter looks at him, right? But he can't contain himself. So so the daughter looks at him shockingly, because she's never seen him like that. She's never seen him, lusting over someone, right? And so here he is lusting over the lady that's giving her food, right? So she was just sort of like shocked and quite disgusted, but he couldn't contain himself, and he just wanted to see. She says that he sort of just like went like this so he could see better, right? And that she was like taken aback because they've been separated for a while, is what she told me. Okay, so what that means is that obviously he cares for her, wants to be with her, but maybe the judgment of his daughter, of what she would think, because she looked at him really ugly and kind of shocked, that maybe that's why there was sort of a separation, okay? The daughter or the children, if he has children, or specifically the daughter, has something to do with possibly the separation and him wanting to go to her, but not being able to, but in the end not being able to resist and just wanting to touch her. But then he sees, but then the daughter sees the disgust. He sees, his daughter's face disgusted, the disgust in his daughter's face. And so that means that if he possibly were to return to her or be with her, even though he lusts for her, right? I don't know that there's love, right? But because I don't know. Well, there's love because maybe there was like the food is nourishment. So maybe the woman nourished him and nourished his spiritual side. If she says that the daughter, she never met the daughter, or it could also be a project. She told me that they worked together. So in the past, okay, so maybe it was she nourished the project. So that can be also, that there's some disgust if he were to pursue that within the project, right, or within the people that they know. So it's something about being in the same environment with the same people that they know, and him being very aware of that, and him being afraid that they're gonna look upon him as disgusting, right, and lustful, right, and so seeing a side of him apparently that nobody has seen. Okay, so it can be either or. I don't know. I didn't understand. So. Or I don't know really in the end. And so then the other thing is that the mantle and the crystals, right? So I sort of foresaw that the bottles of the liquor, okay, was that it's empty. Usually liquor brings in you know, happiness, right? Joyous times, joyful events, or whatever, and the bottles were empty. So it could be that there is no more joy between this relationship. It could also mean that it's empty, right? The bottles are completely empty. So even though they both in their right, because the bottles represent, they represent him and they represent her, and so even though they're together, it's empty. So they have nothing. They have no fulfillment. Oh, they're empty, or their relationship is empty. But it's interesting that they're together. So so the bottles are together. So maybe, I don't know. So you guys tell me. I don't know. So the bottles are together, but they're empty. So I figured that the relationship is over is the only thing that I could sort of muster up. It's interesting that it's crystal, right? So crystal is about transparency, and it's about, you know, like finer things in life, right? So it sort of seems like these people were well-to-do first and foremost, and they were like in their own right, like they were crystal. You know what I mean? So they were like the finest thing within their whole realm. Okay, so but I sort of feel like the relationship has ended completely because there's nothing in the bottle, so there's no fulfillment in the bottles. It can also mean that in their lives, because of the separation, it can be lack of fulfillment because they are not together. Okay, so it can mean the same thing. I don't know. It's very confused with this dream. I'm so sorry. You know, you guys can share and tell me what you all think. The other thing is that she also told me, because it sort of came to me that there might be a dry spot, right? Like, so he might be going through a dry spell. So if he drinks a lot, and that's what I told the lady, if he drinks a lot, maybe he's going to rehab and maybe he's dry. Okay, so that can also represent that. She told me that he drank a lot. Okay, so I don't know. I think he had an issue with drinking. So that can also represent that they're together, and she's, not together physically, because she told me they were separated, but that it's ended. But he's also going through a dry spot, possibly. I don't know. That's a possibility. The other thing is that it was in the mantle, so in the fireplace mantle, right? But she didn't see the fireplace. So maybe the passion has not been there, right? Although even though he's lustful, but maybe the passion has dried out, right? And that's exactly what the crystal bottles are, that there's no passion anymore, and that the love and the passion has dried up. But that doesn't go along with him lusting over her. So I don't know. It's very confusing. So then in the end, also what the mantle signifies is that you put somebody in a high standard. So maybe this woman had him in an exceptional high standard, and it also means that you put someone in a high standard that you don't consider in a high standard anymore. Okay, so maybe she really had him in a high standard, and now she doesn't have him like that. Okay, I'm sort of thinking it's her. It could go the other way around as well, but she's the one that had the drink. So it could also mean that he doesn't hold, the girl in high standard anymore either. So something went down. But obviously he's still watching, and he's still lusting over her. There's something about his family that he can't pursue this relationship, whatever that is. Maybe he'll lose some credibility, or maybe, he just, people would look at him differently if he were to, know, if people were to know that he was with her and he lusted over her, and just his face. So that was very interesting. Or there is a project that they fed, right, that if they worked together, that was, somewhat prosperous because of what they were eating. Because, also the pancakes are, sweetness, right, and it's bread. And so I know it's a jungle Mongol or whatever that is, but I think that's what it is. So comment below and let me know, because I was sort of kind of confused with this. All right. And I have a viewer that I haven't heard from in a long time, but he's like a psychologist. So if you can comment and tell us what you think, that'd be great. Okay. So comment below and let me know. Namaste, love and light. Ciao.